Okay. Hi, Mac. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You are an author. How many books have you written?
This is actually my second published novel, but I have a lot in the queue.
Okay. According to your bio, it said that you studied international politics and you served in the Army. When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army from 1993 until 1998,
So
five
just
years.
a little bit after the Gulf War, yeah?
Yeah, it was actually during the peacekeeping efforts in Bosnia, which I was a part of.
Oh, yeah.
Sir,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you experience any frontline danger?
No, basically, we were there just to keep the peace. The most frightening thing were the unexploded landmines. You had to watch where you step, and a lot of times you would see the engineers out there finding a new landmine where you just were walking. So that was pretty harrowing. But other than that, you know, it was just it was an easy tour, except for being separated from my husband for all those months.
Yeah, that would be, I think the hardest part is missing your family, yeah, when you go
Yeah.
like that. All right. Well, you made it back and you made it back in one piece, so I'm happy to hear about that. And you've written a book now called Daughter of Hades, is that correct?
Yes, that's the name of it.
Okay.
I'm really excited about it.
So Hades is referring to the Greek god Hades.
Yes, and it's also the name of the ship in my swashbuckling pirate adventure.
So this is a historical fiction.
Yes, it is. It's historical fiction set in 1649, where where there was a lot of tumult in the world civilizations. So um, it's about 5 years, 6 years preceding the British invasion of Jamaica, and that's what the series is leading up to. Is finally the British invading Jamaica and taking it from the Spanish.
Okay, so is the ship that the story takes place, is it a British ship or a Spanish ship?
It is a pirate
Oh, it's a
ship or a
pirate ship.
buccaneer ship, yes.
Okay.
And it was taken from the Dutch. It's a flute. It was a Dutch flute merchant ship, and it was stolen by the dread pirate Duff.
Where did you come up with this story? It sounds pretty cool.
Uh, it came from a lot of places. I love Well, growing up, I used to love historical romances with pirates, but usually those stories set in this time period that lacked a lot of diversity, and they weren't very historically correct, and I kind of grew out of them. And then I read Diana Gabaldon, and she was able to combine historical accuracy with romance, and it's like, oh my gosh, that really inspired me. I got to do this because I would really love to see some diverse characters in a swashbuckling tale that isn't a narrative of Black pain or, LGBTQ pain, just, people having romance and living lives of real people. Yeah, and also I'm a huge fan of Black Sails, and I hated it when the show ended. So I want, this is kind of like an homage to that.
Okay, so the main characters are called Dinny and Jimmie.
Uh, Denny, Denny and Jimmie. Yes, they're twins. Geraldine and James are, their proper names, and they escaped slavery from Barbados on a pirate ship. And on the pirate ship, Denny falls in love with Li Zhang, an exiled Chinese pirate.
Well, that's interesting. How did you do your research for this book?
I used a lot of journals and a lot of times I would just start at Wikipedia and then I would take ideas that was presented there and then do journal searches. So a lot of my research came from JSTOR journal, compilation of journals. I have a ton of books on the on the period and the geographical areas, and it's usually like pulling a thread, and one piece of information leads to another. And I tried, the hardest part was to keep up with all the research. So I had to develop a system in OneNote and in my filing system to keep my research in order, and so that I could reference it, throughout the series.
You said you kept it historically accurate. In terms of what? Give me an example of something that you researched that you did that maybe you wouldn't have known if you hadn't researched it.
Well, the coolest thing I've been thinking about lately was in 1649. This was a time of great tumult around the world because during that time there was a mini ice age, and coming from that there was famine, drought, disease, and that led to political unrest. You had Cromwell in 1649. He became the Lord Protectorate, and Charles I was beheaded. In China, the Ming Dynasty fell to the Qing Dynasty, and it was overwritten because of the famine, the drought, and disease that was causing problems in China, and this is all leading to the conflict with the Dutch and the Spanish and the English is all leading to this invasion that's going to happen in Jamaica, because the British is struggling for a foothold in the New World.
Who was actually in Jamaica before the white people came?
The Arawak Indians. They were there when Christopher Columbus landed on the North Shore of Jamaica. They were taken as slaves, but the brutality of the life, killed most of them. Some escaped to the hills, and that's when they began to bring in Africans and enslave them to take over the work.
So there,
And
I'm sorry. So there were indigenous people on the island before anybody,
yes,
right? Okay.
yes. Hmm.
But like the Aztecs, they kind of got wiped out.
Exactly. Unfortunately, yes.
Well, that seems to be a common theme amongst the conquistadors and the explorers from Europe. They wiped out a lot of indigenous populations, and
Right.
sometimes not even intentionally. I mean, I know that a lot of the indigenous people of South America got wiped out by measles and smallpox, which they had no immunity to,
Right.
natural immunity to, right? And they just got wiped out in this epidemic.
Yeah. I mean that's a story you hear a lot, around the world when invaders come in with their specific diseases. Yeah.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, so what can you give us kind of a quick overview of the adventure that your characters go on? So they're on the ship, they escape slavery, and now are they stowaways on the ship?
No, actually. So another historical fact that I based this on is a story that inspired me was the story of Black Caesar. He was a Black pirate. He was taken from Africa on a slave ship, and he, and along with one of the sailors on the ship, led a revolt, took the ship, and they became like pirates. Um, Badu, Denny's father, befriended a sailor on the slave ship, and that's Captain Duff. He's the captain of the Hades, and he is the one who comes to rescue Denny and take her to Jamaica, where she's going to live in the mountains with the Maroons. And at the same time, we have brothers coming from France, They are French Huguenots. They're persecuted for their religion. So they leave France and they head for the Caribbean, and their lives all come intertwined. And they, forge this bond where they help each other through some really awful times.
So where does the Chinese sailor come in?
Lee was around. He became a pirate right about the time the Ming Dynasty fell, and up in around that area, you had traders. You had Macau. The Portugal had a colony in Macau near China, and the Dutch were actively trading. So Lee kind of found his way from pirate ship and merchant ship to the New World. So he just kind of made his way
It's a
to the
long,
Caribbean.
it's a
Yeah,
long voyage. Yeah.
it is a long voyage, and it's not as long as you might think, because China and the Philippines, they had a trade with Mexico. They mined Mexican silver. There was a thriving Chinese community in Mexico around this time. So, a lot of things. While I want to have fun with the story, with the romance and the adventure, there's a lot of things in history that history left out. And there was an Asian population in the Caribbean and in Mexico.
Well, that's interesting. That's something I didn't know. I don't think that's ever taught in schools in the United States. Nobody, I've never heard of it.
No,
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it either. So of course I had to write about it.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you put that in. Give us a chance to think about something else.
Yeah.
We do have to wind this down. We are out of time. Do you have a website that you want to give out for your book, or a personal website?
Oh, absolutely. I'm at Mack, Little.com.
Okay, and both of your books are up there, and links to
Yes,
purchase if people want to buy it. Yeah.
absolutely. And you can find me on Amazon as well.
Okay. Is the book out now?
Yes, it's out. It's out, and and the follow-up is coming this fall. So
Okay, super. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your story, and best of luck